and beats Pelosi. Off the wall to Harris. Harris has got Pelosi. Harris to Pelosi. Shot. He scores! Chris Pelosi!
And Poitras trying to drive in on that right wing side. Poitras in. Scores! Matt Poitras in overtime.
Millis took it right off his stick. Sends one through. They score! First career goal for the Bruins draft pick, Millis.
Back to the blue line. Cowan has it, looking for the return feed. Cowan lets it go back to the point. Shot!
Those were without all of their World Junior guys for that against Simon Fraser. BC played him Sunday. Good pass ahead. There's Yelvik. He scores! Didn't need an exhibition.
Will come up with it. Ross Schwab flips it out to center. Now McKinney gets chased with Harrison. Harrison to the backhand. Score! A deft touch.
Watch out. Nelson steals. Walks in. Scores! 6-2. Jackson Nelson has the hat trick.
In a Crosby line. Dolan wins that back. Now he's going to waltz up.
Welcome in, folks, for another episode of Dom.Hockey The Podcast. I am your host, Chris Dozick, joined, as I am every episode, by the one and only Dominic Tiano. Dom, are you excited for another episode brought to you by our friends over at Ice Shaker?
Yes, I am. How are you tonight,
Great.
Chris?
Looking forward to another U.S. matchup. Canada kicked some ass this afternoon, so we're slated for another great matchup between U.S. and Canada for the Four Nation Face-Off final on Thursday. But we got some prospects to talk about tonight.
Yeah, it's always fun talking prospects. I've had 3 days off, pumping out a lot of player profiles for the 2025 draft and going over a bunch of the Providence players. So, a lot of writing this weekend, watching a lot of hockey, and here we are doing our second show in 2 nights.
I'm looking forward to it. We got a lot to go over. We got a game coming up right at the end of the show, so we might even end just a minute or two earlier than we normally do so we can all catch that game. Dom, what do you say we jump right into it?
Yeah, let's start. First of all, congratulations to Chris Pelosi, who today was named the ECAC Rookie of the Week, and to Mason Gallagher, who was today named the Defenseman of the Week in the ECAC.
Was it Mason Langenbrunner?
Langenbrunner. What
Gallagher.
did I say? Or Mason Langenbrunner.
That's what you got me for.
Sorry.
I was like, wait, is there a new player that we haven't talked about yet? So
Yeah.
It's all right. When you watch how many hockey players in a 2-day span?
Oh, today or this weekend?
Yeah.
Probably about 600.
Yeah, it's okay. You're allowed. We'll let you get a couple names wrong here and there. That's what we have. That's what we have.
I
Notes
appreciate appreciate it.
So, speaking of notes, let's dive into them. You want to start with our buddy Casper Nason?
Yeah, so not a good weekend for Miami, Ohio. Lost on Friday to Gallagher's team, 6-1. And then on Saturday, they were down, I believe it was 4-1. Came back and tied it, only to lose it in overtime, 5-4. Pointless for Nason. The poor team hasn't won since, I think it was October 26th.
That's rough.
Was their last win. So their season is going to be done in 2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks for Miami. No, 2 weeks. Miami will be done. I'm looking for Casper Nason to maybe enter the transfer portal for next season.
Yeah, I think that would be a good move for him to make. I mean, we talked briefly about him in this, but we'll talk more about Gallagher later. That was a move that paid dividends for him. It just, in order to properly see what Casper Nason can do, you got to see what other players around his caliber are able to do with him. So it's I'll put it this way. I don't think it would hurt him.
No, I don't think it would. It's a bad team, bad situation. When you haven't won in November, December, January, 3.5 months, it takes a toll. It's not that he's not putting in the effort. Like Friday night, he had 5 shots on goal, which is more than any 3 other Miami forwards combined in that contest. So the effort's there. It's just, it's a bad situation for him to be.
I mean, if you want an NHL equivalent, look at Connor Bedard in Chicago. Again, not that Nason is Bedard, but it's the same type of situation. Anyway.
Yeah, so not much else to add to Casper at this point. I'm sure that he and his teammates are all waiting for the season to be over and then decide what they're going to do after that, because no one wants to go to the rink and lose every single time.
Yeah, it just doesn't create a good atmosphere. So, but we'll see what happens. I'd like to see him go through the transfer and see where he can get to. But moving along here, unless you got any other thoughts on Nathan, we can swing over to our UMass friend Dan's Lochmelis.
Yeah, let's go over to Don Lochmelis. Not a bad weekend for UMass. They beat Boston College, or should I say upset Boston College 3-2 on Friday, and then lost the rematch on Saturday 4-1. Lochmelis went pointless in both contests. He was about 50% on the dot for the 2 nights, and just over 18 minutes of ice time in both games, centering the second line. I'm happy with his season, where his production is at this point with 6 goals, 19 assists in 30 games. So a good season for him, a good sophomore season. I suspect he's going to return for a 3rd season. I don't see him wanting to turn pro just yet.
Yeah. I definitely think that's something that we can address as well for some of them, some of these players as we go through the college ranked ones, because the college season, as you mentioned, is winding down. I do think we'll see Lochmelis return back to UMass for another season, though.
Yeah,
and I don't think we'll see him transfer either. I mean, it seems to be a decent fit for him there in UMass, and he's close enough to the Bruins, so I don't see him going in through a transfer process.
No, and he should be the go-to guy there next season.
So he's in a pretty good situation for himself there.
Yeah.
And, he's assimilating well, but just not where he needs to be to turn pro just yet. So now, any other thoughts on Lochmelis?
No, that's pretty much it for him. He didn't have a productive weekend, but he's on pace to be where I expected him to be. So I've got no concerns with him.
Alrighty. So who do you want to talk to in our next trio of players? Talk about first.
Well, let's talk about I guess Oscar Yelvik first. If you go back to last Monday's Beanpot game, he missed that. Plus, he missed the Friday game. Who did they play Friday? It escapes my memory. And missed Saturday's game. I'm worried that this injury, I know he was out earlier in the season, missed a couple of games with an injury. I think he came back early and wasn't 100%, and he re-aggravated it I guess 2 weeks ago now, and he's starting to miss some time because he just hasn't been himself.
Yeah, that injury would worry me a little bit. I'm just trying to remember is he a junior this year? Or is this
yes.
Okay?
No, he's a junior.
So I guess the concern I would have is if he theoretically is done for the season, just because there's such little time left overall. I mean, obviously they'll be in the playoffs, the quote unquote playoffs for the NCAA, but still, I wonder if this sets him back and he ends up returning for for final season.
I think it sets him back. If he was healthy all season and played to his ability, I was almost positive he was going to turn pro once the season ended. At this point, I don't know. Who knows if they come back and win BC wins a national championship, we still might see it. But I think at this point he might be leaning to returning to BC for his senior year.
Now, do you think, because we've talked about Andre Gausseau before, and we were talking about both him and Jelvik potentially turning pro together, do you think that they might make the decision to stay and play together next season? Because also, if you look at it from the perspective of who else won't be there, I mean, you've got guys like Stiga probably won't be there, Perreault won't be there, Ryan Leonard won't be there. So it gives those two an opportunity to play another season together, their final senior season, and then turn pro together still and continue to play off that chemistry with each other.
I don't know. At that point, if I'm the Bruins, I'm concerned because then you're at the point where you can wait until August and become a UFA and sign anywhere you want. And the Bruins typically do not allow that to happen.
Fair.
So we'll see.
So that would be August of 2025 that they would become
correct
an unrestricted free agent.
No, sorry, August 2026. So if they return for next
25-26 season, then after next season, they would have a couple months in there where they could sign and turn pro with the Bruins.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I mean, I definitely want to see Jelvik return for another season, though, just to see how much this injury has affected where he's at. So, and let's face it, Gausseau, I don't know if you want to talk more about him next or Letourneau next, but Gausseau is going to have time in Providence anyway, so it's not exactly like they won't ever play on the same team again.
Right. So, yeah, let's move on to Letourneau because he's everybody's target. So,
I mean, he's a pretty big target.
Yeah. So Monday was one of his better games. He played almost 13 minutes. This was a beanpot game against BU. So one of his higher ice times through the season. I don't know if it's because it was at TED Garden they gave him more ice time or not, or what. But he had some very, very good opportunities. He was a -1. But I thought he played a great defensive game. Gausseau had a secondary assist in the game on Monday. Really, he didn't do a lot to earn it. It's one of those, I don't want to call it phantom assists, but one of those lucky ones where you don't have to do anything to get a point. Right. So, Friday night, a little bit different. Gausseau had an assist, a -1 again, 6 shots on net, 50% at the dot, 21 minutes time on ice. He's getting a lot of time on ice. But Saturday, BC won the rematch 4-1. And we do have the goalie scored. And what I like about this is Halgaso got into open ice or found open ice. I guess discreetly and maintain that open ice and potted the goal. We have it here.
Yeah,
so
we'll run.
that's Gasso in the circle there.
Yeah, and he just hovers in that empty spot right at the top of the crease there, literally behind nobody. We should get another angle or at least a replay of it here. Sometimes they do that, but
that's not on this one. That's an easy goal. Tap in, but you know what? It's the wherewithal to slip in, time it just perfectly, and go in undetected. Nobody even turned around to look at him.
No one saw him there.
Nobody knew he was there. So it's heady plays like that he's capable of making. Up to 10 goals, 10 assists in 29 games on the season. The big stat that really pops up, he's a plus 18.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, and I'm not a huge fan of the plus minus statistic overall, but it's a long-term stat is the best way to put it. Over the course of the season as a plus 18, it's a good thing. So
yeah,
if it was plus 18 in 3 games, then it's an anomaly. So
yeah.
Not a lot to add to it, Dom. I'm like you said, Letourneau's been a punching bag for so many people. There's nothing we can do to stop that, but we'll keep reiterating the facts on that one.
If I can, and you know how much I hate comparables. You and I actually had a conversation about this yesterday or the day before yesterday. People keep bugging me for a comparable for Dean Letourneau, and I refuse to do comparables.
Yeah, you do.
Simply because, now, just to give you an example, the conversation I had with you was about Frederic Brunet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And at the time of his draft, here's the 3 NHL players he was being compared to. 1 was Torrey Krug. 2 was Tyson Barrie. And 3 was Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
I laughed. I went back and read articles on him on his draft year, and that's who he's being compared to. It's unfair to the player to put that kind of pressure on him.
Yeah.
It really is. I Trevor Kuntar is another one. His comparables going back to his draft year, Brendan Gallagher and Andrew Shaw. Shaw, I could see, maybe, but Brendan Gallagher was what, 5'9", had a couple of 30-goal seasons in the NHL. Trevor Kuntar is what, 6 feet, and will never score 30 goals in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I stay away from comparables, because development happens differently.
Right, and when you hear prospects talk, the players talk, they try to model their game after certain players, and I think that's what most people are getting at when they say, "Oh, who's he comparable to?" But
oh no, they want it for when they're asking me for comparable, they want to know what he's going to turn out to be.
Okay, well, they want a full projection of an NHL career. Then that's a little different. I try to at least, when I look at comparing 2 players, I try and say, okay, they play the similar style of game. You know what I mean? Like Torrey Krug does not play the same style of game that Charlie McAvoy plays, that Brandon Carlo plays. So, trying to find that type of comparison, that's what I try to look for, the similarities in how they play versus what are they going to be,
Yeah, I actually wrote an article on it. If you're asking me for a comparable for Frederic Brunet at the time of his draft, most people would never have heard of the players I was comparing him to, because I would be comparing him to past Quebec Major Junior Hockey League players, because that's the only sample we have of Frederic Brunet. We did not, at the time, did not have a sample of what he'd be like in Providence or what he would be in like in Boston. So we can't compare him to professional hockey players.
Right, 100%. But you can say that he models his game after, his game is along the same lines as player X in the NHL, so you can look for similarities in their game. So, but when it comes to Letourneau, where do you land on kind of that style of play comparison?
I don't know. He's unique. He's a player coming out of high school hockey into the NCAA. There's no player that played Canadian high school hockey that I could compare him to. There's none.
I'm glad you went down that road because, everybody wants to call this kid a bust. They want to label him already. And as we've talked about plenty of times, no one's done what he's trying to do. So we really can't even say what is he going to look like next season until we see what he is. This is a get him in, let him learn. Next season, see where he's at. Next season is the evaluation year. And then year 3 is, okay, where does he need to improve? How does he need to improve? Let's focus on those improvements. He's probably playing all 4 years at BC.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Anyway.
But there are people that the minute he was drafted were saying he's one and done in BC.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
There are people that immediately started calling him Boston's best prospect. I mean, we'll do a show eventually on my rankings here. And I'll tell you what, he's not number 1 on my list. He might make the top 10, but I don't base rankings solely on potential. It's what have you shown me has more weight than what potential.
Right. How close to getting to your full potential are you in the NHL? So we'll run through those down the road, though. Obviously, we got to get through the rest of the season. We got plenty of stuff coming out over the summer for that kind of thing. You ready to move on to North Dakota and our friend Jake Schmaltz?
Yeah. They lost 4-0 on Friday to defending champs Denver. Obviously, Schmaltz did not register a point. He got for some reason the last half dozen games he's played left wing as opposed to center, but he is still taking faceoffs. So I don't think it's an injury thing. I guess we could say surprised Denver with a 3-1 win in the rematch on Saturday. Again, pointless for Schmaltz. Excuse me. That was his 8th consecutive game without a point. Again, he's a senior. It's his last year. I don't think he's getting a contract from the Bruins.
Yeah, I'm still not sold that he's one that they're going to give a contract spot to. They might give him an ATO just to get him in and see where he's at, but even then, that might be pushing it.
Yeah, I don't think even that's going to happen. Beckett Hendrickson, Minnesota, fell to 21-7-3 following an overtime loss to Michigan State. Hendrickson had an assist. Well, let's play it because it's a pretty heads-up play from him off of a face-off here.
For some reason, the screen, there we go. It wasn't cooperating here. All right. So you've done a great job of highlighting him in the circle for us. right off the face-off, as you mentioned.
Yeah, so the puck ends up behind the net here. He recognizes it very quickly. It's a fluky assist, but that's all on him recognizing he's got time, space, where he needs to be. It's a bang.
He also
play.
doesn't give up on it. He's down,
No.
but he's not giving up on the play despite being on all fours, but despite having someone on him, pressuring him, keeping him down. He still finds the puck.
He swiped at it.
Yeah,
when he was
still
down.
finds the puck
He
in
swiped
traffic.
at it. Yeah. So, offensively, he hasn't been as good as I expected him to be, but he's getting a lot of fourth line minutes in his freshman year. He has moved up to fill in on the first or second line at times, and that's usually where his production comes from. I was a little concerned on Friday because he played under 8 minutes, and we do know he had an injury a couple of weeks ago, and I'm wondering if he's not at 100%.
Yeah, I think we are going to start to be in injury season. So we'll have to see how some of that plays out.
Yeah, so moving on to our friend Ty Gallagher. As mentioned earlier, they beat Miami and Casper Nason 6-1 on Friday. Gallagher had 2 assists, +3, 4 shots on goal. Set up the game-winning goal. Anyway, let's play it. It was
This one,
Gallagher's going to come into the picture there where the arrow was. Here he comes now. Number 6 in white. He tried to pass across there, went off the defender's stick and hit the goalie's stick and came up in the air. And his teammate, I forget who it was, banged it into the net midair.
nice little shot, though.
Well, that was an intended pass.
But it's we talked about it. I want to say it was last week. I think maybe it was the week before. When you're playing the right way and doing the right things, the fluky things go your way sometimes. So that's what happened. He's playing hard every shift. You make your own luck, as they say. So. And then you mentioned we have his other one here. I don't know if you are ready for that one just yet.
I'm trying to remember it. I can't remember it off the top of my head. You're going to have to play it for me. Oh, yeah. He sweeps the check or the puck away from there. Goes in transition. But it's the defensive play I really liked here. I really don't care about the assist. This is something Jackson Edward is really good at, breaking up plays at his own blue line.
Yeah, right there, getting his stick in the way.
Yeah.
Does great to hold on to the puck until the very last minute, gets the defender to commit to him, and then dishes it off. So, he is turning into a very, very solid two-way defenseman.
Yeah. Plays over 22 minutes a night.
Yeah,
but I was impressed by the defensive play. But you often hear you hear the Bruins talk about it a lot, turning defense into offense, and that's exactly what this is.
Yep, recognizes it, sees the 3-on-2 opportunity, and then narrows it down to a 2-on-1, and then he lets his forward take over and get the goal. So,
yeah. Now, a lot of highlights we show on Gallagher show him jumping up into the play, but he's not a run and gun defenseman. He picks his spots. He will not give up defense for the sake of offense,
which is very unique.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that is the type of thing that you will see someone like Erik Karlsson do.
Right. Because if you go back to that first goal, he wasn't even in the frame.
Right.
He was the last man back, protecting his own zone in case Miami ended up going the other way.
I love the trajectory of this kid. This is his final year after transferring to Colorado. He's going to have some decisions coming up, but I really think the Bruins are going to make a push to sign this kid, as they should too, because they are starting to show some holes on the right side. And, you know, based on his development in college, he's someone who, if he's in Providence next year and you have some injuries on the right side, if his trajectory continues, he could be a very early call-up if there's an injury on the right side.
Mhm.
So
let's move on to Elliot Grunwald and Chris Pelosi. We'll do Grunwald very quickly because we got a lot of highlights on Chris Pelosi.
4 of them.
So they won Friday night 7-2, and then Saturday 6-2. Friday was over Union. Grunwald did not register a point. I'm not worried about his production. He's got 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in 30 games. Still an 18-year-old. Yes, he just turned 19 on February 4th.
Yeah, but still, I'm not that worried about it for an 8.
Not worried. But I really love the way we've shown a few of his defensive marvels that he's done through the season. I think with him the offense will come next year. But I really like the trajectory he's on right now.
Yeah, he's also a defense. Like, he's not going to light it up. I mean, last year in the USHL, he only put up 16 points over 57, 58 games. So
no, but I see him eventually in college putting up Ty Gallagher numbers.
Okay.
At the very least.
I'll be interested to see how that development goes for him. But I mean, if he can continue to make the defensive plays that he's making, at worst, he's a defensive defenseman at that point.
Yeah. And, he's playing 18 minutes a night on a good team. So, let's forget, he started out as an 18-year-old. Played almost the entire season as an 18-year-old.
Yep, absolutely. And
so,
I was just going to say, turning into, if he keeps going into trajectory, a tradable piece if you need to.
Yeah, I don't think the Bruins
I don't think so either, but
he's one they're going to want to hold on to for a while.
Probably. But again, if the right deal comes along, he's someone they could move on from down the road.
Yeah, and when I say don't want to trade him, I don't think they want to include him in a trade this year or next year for something at the NHL level because they don't know what they have in him yet.
Right. I'm talking 3 years from now, he could be, if he plays the trajectory out the way that it's at, he could be the centerpiece of a trade. He could be the main prospect in bringing another piece to Boston.
Yeah.
That type of play.
So let's move on to Pelosi because there's a lot to talk about here. What was it Friday? 2 goals and an assist, I believe.
Yep.
So we got them. Let's just show his goals. There he is on the far side there. Pass comes across, beats it back to the defenseman, comes back to him, one times it.
Whew. That's
Wicked
a tough
shot.
angle too, right above the dot.
Yeah. And I think the next one we're going to see is almost identical.
I'm pulling that one up too. This is the game-winning goal, I believe.
Yeah, he sets up the game-winning goal here.
It really looks like a mirror image.
And that was a shot pass.
I mean, he's from almost the exact same spot, right by the dot.
Yeah.
The OV office, as they say, just on the other side. This goal looks very similar, like it could be a mirror image. That's ridiculous. He's consistent, to say the least.
Yeah. And then he scores on what I think is just a beauty on Friday night.
Oh, what was it? His 10th of the year, right?
Yeah.
So you got him circled here at the blue line, comes in and just snaps it.
Just the shot, man. Just like you're at the point now where he can beat goaltenders from anywhere. Like that's top shelf blocker side.
This kid is turning into something, and it's only a year in.
Yep.
And then,
So, like, I mean, he's up to 11 goals, 18 assists, 19 points in 30 games. But he's been on fire since the new year.
yeah, and then we got this one here from Saturday as well. Shows a nice burst of energy, beats the goaltender. Was that low blocker side?
Yeah, this starts in his own end. Like, he literally outskates two guys.
He outskated everybody.
Yeah.
Beats those two guys to the puck. I mean, by the time he hits the blue line, his closest teammate is at the red line.
Yeah.
I mean, the speed he's got is outrageous. I mean, wow.
You don't realize how fast he is until you see him in situations like this.
He's someone to watch at development camp.
Yeah.
This coming season. He will be fun to watch at development camp.
Yeah. So another guy that had a big weekend moving along is Ryan Walsh. Had 2 goals and assists Friday and 2 goals and an assist on Saturday. So a 6-point weekend for him. Actually outpaced Pelosi. So Cornell won 6-1 on Friday against Brown. And the thing is Walsh was coming off a 5-game pointless streak, and he still led Cornell in scoring. So rather than me go through all the plays, we have him here. That's Walsh in red, where I had him circled there. Again, the shot, just like Pelosi.
Yeah, and we'll have this one cycle back through in case people missed it real quick. Yeah, just an incredible weekend for him. You know, he comes in staying middle of the ice between the dots, and then
Open
gets a
space.
solid shot.
It's just he goes into open space and nobody picks him up.
He didn't get sucked into the board part of the play either.
No, he washed. He was if you can slow it down, you can see that he's focusing on the puck and he's paying attention to, okay, who's going to win this battle and where do I need to go? And he goes there.
I just got his next one queued up. If you want, I can pull the other one back up. But
No,
I'm
that's
sure
okay. Just do the next
It's something
one.
that he does frequently enough. You've got him again circled here. He is starting in his own blue line, essentially between the dots. And, you know, he also has trust in his teammates to do what they're supposed to do to get him the puck when he needs when he's in the right spot.
Absolutely.
So and he does it again on this one. It's not avoiding a board battle, but it's, you know, as he's streaking up the ice in the middle, you know, his teammate's got the puck, enters the zone. He focuses on just going to the goal. Trusts that his teammate's going to get the puck on net, and if there's a rebound, he will be there for it. So, and he was.
Yeah, so if you go to Saturday, so he scores the opening goal of the game.
Yeah, just continues his hot weekend here.
Yeah.
Again, he's in the corner in the O zone.
Yeah, here he eludes everybody, pulls it to the slot, and again the shot.
Woof. Solid shot.
But just when you think you've got him taken out of the play at the end boards, because he was hit there, he just comes right back.
Yep, and he has the 5-2 goal as well.
Yeah.
Stefan, I see your question. We'll get to it in just a minute here. So he's highlighted in the back end of the play there, and just, I mean, this guy's finding ways to score from all over the ice.
Yep. And in multiple different ways. He just eludes everybody all the time.
Yeah, very elusive. Great, hell of a shot. And I really think that he is someone that, you know, people are going to regret watching him drop all the way down to the third round. But this is the kind of value that Boston needs to hit on.
Yeah, but he was 6th round.
Was he?
Yeah. 6th round in 2023.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I was thinking Pelosi. But yeah, he was 6th round. But that makes it even worse, honestly. So,
yeah.
Real quick, I do want to get to Stefan's question here. He asks, is there concern about top college programs like BU or BC overcommitting to incoming players, potentially pushing out existing teammates that have been developing that program for years? For example, Gallagher. So Gallagher is graduating. He's done in college. So he would be turning pro.
No, but I think he means like pushing Gallagher out of BU, so we had to
out
go.
Of BU, yeah.
I don't have a concern with it.
I really don't, just because they want the best players. So and players are going to find somewhere to play.
Yeah, the NCAA is not, for lack of a better term, it's not a developmental league. They're out there to win, just like the pro hockey teams are.
Yeah. I think Boston College is a great example, you know. So maybe someone like Dean Letourneau, could he get pushed out of the program because a better player comes along, even though he's been there developing, say, 2 years at that point? Again, I don't think so, because, you know, the players that aren't going to get kicked out of these programs, if anything, aren't going to be the ones who have an NHL name drafted to them.
Yeah.
You know, if an NHL team has said at the age of 18, they're good enough for us to invest in them and we want them going to your school, that's a selling point for your school. You're not kicking that kid out just because someone else came along who might be better. You want to keep the name of that NHL team attached to you. Why do you think BC and Michigan and BU are so highly regarded in the world of hockey, but not in football? As an example, Michigan, yeah, they are, but that's what they produce. Alabama produces football players. BC produces hockey players. That's what they do. So, anyway, who'd we leave off at? Mason Langenbrunner.
Yeah, so the ECAC Defenseman of the Week scored 2 goals at the Beanpot last Monday. And the killer is, this is a guy who was 7th defenseman just a month ago, playing very little, to now playing 18, 19, 20 minutes a night on both special teams, and he scores 2 power play goals.
In the Beanpot.
In the Beanpot. So that's him there. And, you know, we always talk about these young defensemen and the way they shoot the puck. There's no big back scratching wind up here.
Nope. Very, very prominently not a big wind up.
Nope.
Just a quick little snapshot, if you will. Beats the goaltender. And he's doing it from a great spot. He's right point blank in front of the net. He elusively found open ice.
Yeah, this is a defenseman from there. And I think his next goal, we'll see something similar, if I remember it correctly.
Well, he starts out here at the blue paint again and works his way down, and a nice little snapshot there. Very little windup. And like you said, this is a guy who a month ago was a seventh defenseman, and we were wondering what was going to be his future. Were they going to offer him a contract? Was he just there because of his last name? We were asking those questions at the time, rightfully so, but now he's proving, you give me an opportunity, I can hang.
Yeah, and this is, I believe, his third season at Harvard.
I was going to double check that because I couldn't remember. Mason. We want the right Langenbrunner.
I'm pretty sure it's his third year.
Yeah, his third year at Harvard. So, you know what? At this point, have him go back for another season, see where he's at for a fourth year. And, the good news is you don't have to make a decision on him right away. You can let him go back.
Yeah. So let's move over to Sweden and Jonathan Mirenberg. Missed 34 games with recovering from an injury. Tough for him to come in late in the season. He's gone pointless in 10 games. I think he's finally hitting his stride. We've talked in the past about them being in the relegation round. Now they lost Tuesday and they lost Thursday. They won in overtime on Thursday. And then they shocked Swedish hockey by beating the top team to move out of the relegation round and into 12th spot. So the relegation round means that the two teams in 13th and 14th spot play a best of 7 series, and the loser gets moved down the league, while the champion from the lower league moves up to the Swedish Hockey League. All this is important because it plays into how quickly Mirenberg comes over to North America. My belief, anyway.
I was going to say, have we gotten any clarity on that?
Well, it all comes down to how much the Bruins want to spend.
Fair enough.
Because it's just not as easy as, hey, come on over.
Right.
Yeah, they got to sign a new contract, but they got to buy his contract out, or they got to buy his rights out, and then pay transfer fees and pay the team fees and pay the league fees to have him come over because he's under 24 years of age.
And I presume those fees are lower if that team gets relegated.
Yeah. And what I'm unsure of is if he's in the SHL, he has the option to opt out of the final year of his contract by June 15th. That's under
of this year, right?
Of this year. That's under IIHF rules. If they get demoted to the Allsvenskan, I don't think that he has that right to opt out of his contract.
Interesting. I guess the question becomes, if he's able to opt out, do you think he does?
It'll depend on the Bruins. This guy was once considered one of the Canucks' top 3 prospects. And the reason why they traded, and his GM come right out and said it, we can't wait 5 years for him to come over. They weren't willing to wait 5 years for Mirenberg to come over. So they traded him to Boston along with DiPietro for Jack Studnicka.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is the Bruins don't have to wait 5 years. They just have to figure out what's going to happen with him at the end of this season.
Yeah. He spent last summer with the Swedish national team for the World Championships coming up in May, a precursor. He was one of the last cuts. Had he not been injured, I'd like to think he could have made that roster for the World Championship. So it is what it is. Injuries happen.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned he's missed 30 some odd games this year. I'm less worried about the offensive production from him. I want to see him get his legs back under him. I want to see how he is with the minutes that he's able to log and that sort of thing. So I would definitely keep an eye on that for him going forward, as opposed to whether or not he's producing these crazy offensive numbers. So
he's hitting, he's blocking shots, he's transitioning the puck well. I wouldn't say he's 100% back to the level he was last season in any of those areas, but he's getting there.
Yeah, for sure. I want to see where he's at when the season is over compared to where he is now, because he's still coming back from it. He's still, trying to get back in. I mean, 30 games is a long time for him to miss. So if
they only have, I think his team only has 8 games left.
Right. If he
unless they're playing in the relegation, his season is done. They're not in the playoffs.
Yeah, so if he can show some bounce back over that time, I think that shows you something that you need to see from him as well. So, but we've got quite a bit left to get through, so let's zip on over to our buddy Loke Johansson.
Yeah, his offense dried up a little bit, what little he was putting up, but you know what? He's getting more physical. He's getting better defensively. I know that's kind of weird to say about a defensive defenseman, but he's rock solid. They won both their games on the weekend. Well, Thursday and Saturday. Moncton just continues to coast along. They'll go on a deep playoff run, maybe even the Memorial Cup, and that'll be good experience for Loke. I think if he continues to improve his defense, works on what little offense he can provide. I mean, he's not a slouch. He's got 3 goals and 13 assists in 49 games. Well, they played today, so was their 50th game. So, he's not a slouch, but those are low numbers for defensemen playing in the queue.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about him so far this season. Great first season, really. We got to look at it as that. It's his first season, and so there's a lot more evaluation and growth to be seen. I don't hate what I've seen from him, but again, we're looking at someone who's still a few seasons away from being pro. So
I can't wait till Adam McQuaid gets a hold of this kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's what I can't wait for.
He's someone that will benefit from development camp sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he doesn't have to worry about NCAA rules and regulations, when he can go, when he can't go, that's going to benefit him as well. He'll get some extra time. I really hope that he and a few other of the guys that we're talking about come to Boston during the summer to work out and train and work with some of the guys here that they're able to.
Yeah. But I mean, even Loke, when he makes Providence, just extra time with Adam McQuaid, because he really likes the physical game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's a solid puck mover. So all right, we've got another trio, our Dubuque trio here. Or any other thoughts on Loke?
No, that's about it.
All right.
So the Dubuque boys, they lost 3-2 to Cedar Rapids on Friday. Their second consecutive loss. Kostadinsky and Morello were both pointless. Spicer did get an assist. It was a block kind of thing. It's just, hey, I touched the puck, I earned a point type thing. No big deal. They beat Des Moines on Saturday, led by Cole Spicer with 2 goals, including the overtime winner. Actually, we have both of these, so rather than me describe it, let's just play it, Chris.
Yep. Let's see. We've got the first one right here where he ties it up. You got him lovely circled there in the middle of the screen. Turns on the Jets. Gets the puck
taken out of the play and just he got taken out and comes out alone.
But that comes from not giving up on the play either.
Oh, that was a solid hit he took.
Absolutely. 100%. And the defenseman who laid it on him just stopped paying attention to him.
Yeah, it goes the wrong way. Or Spicer recognized he was going that way, so came out the short side.
I was going to say, look at this right here, freeze frame. He is all alone, back door. No one is close to him. The goalie is 3 feet away from him.
Yeah.
I mean, finding that type of open ice is solid work at any level. But the fact that he's recognizing it at this level, it's only going to improve.
Yeah, so I like the overtime winner on a perfect one-timer from him on the next one.
There we go. The one from overtime here. So, again, got him circled on the far board here. That's a nice low angle.
Wicked shot.
Not afraid to take a tough shot.
No, and he was shooting to score there.
Now, with a guy like Spicer, with some of the other guys that we've talked about, I mean, even Gallagher to some degree, these guys aren't afraid to shoot the puck, which is always good to see. However, when we've seen the team make coaching changes recently, going from Montgomery to Sacco, from Bruce to Montgomery, we've seen them kind of change up their shot mentality from quantity to quality. So some of the guys that we're talking about, how many of them do you think fit what the Bruins are trying to consistently do as far as either quantity versus quality when it comes to their shot?
I think when we're talking any of the defensemen, even Kostadinsky, so you got Mirenberg, you've got Gallagher, you've got Grongwald, you've got Johansson, you got Kostadinsky. They're shot quality player or shot quantity players, but they're also quality shooters. We've shown highlight after highlight of there's no big back scratching wind up for many of these guys. They just want to get pucks through, and they want to get pucks through with a purpose, either for a deflection or for a rebound opportunity. And every one of these guys plays that perfectly. Probably Gallagher the best at it. But Johansson and Kostadinsky are both shot quantity players. They produce a lot of shots from the point.
And they're quality shots. I feel like some of them are smart enough to switch between the two. They know when the shot is there to be taken, but they also have the mindset to be able to go, I'm told to shoot the puck, I'm just going to fucking shoot it. get it on net, pucks on net, pucks on net. I can do that versus I have the patience to look for the right shot and get that one on net.
Yeah.
So
Very rarely do any of these, 5 defensemen at this level, very rarely do they miss the target.
yeah, that's been a huge thing. When they're getting rebounds, they're right back out in front.
Yeah.
So they're putting quality shots on. Let's see. Anything else on the trio here?
Well, yeah, we got Saturday's game because Morello got a couple of goals, ended a streak of, I think it was 7 games without a point. So he scores 2 on Sunday. The first goal of the game to make it 1-0, and then scored the game winner later on. I believe we have both of those, Chris.
We do. Sorry, I'm getting the second one pulled right up here. There we go. Morello here makes it the 1-0. You got him right there at the dot.
At the face-off dot, yeah.
There we go. Finding good positioning on the ice yet again.
Yeah, can you slow that one down?
Yeah, we'll get that one back to half speed, and because he comes out of the dot and just goes straight to the net.
But away from everybody.
Yep. And he just sees the puck sitting there on the ice I think it was between the other guy's legs, and he just recognizes, take the shot.
Yeah.
So that's a solid way to open the scoring right there.
And then he gets the game winner.
Because of course he does. Again, you've got him highlighted. This was not coming off of a face-off, but he's right at the dot area, right in the slot. Minimal movement, too. He hasn't left the slot area, and he still finds a way to get open.
Yeah, it's just a stride here, a stride there, and he's open.
I'm going to back that up here because he's in the triangle of 3 guys in there, but he just lets one guy move up, kind of takes his spot in the triangle there, and then finds his way to shift over and get open. Solid elusiveness right there.
Unfortunately, I will say this about Morello. Unfortunately, he did a lot of that in Junior A last season. Not quite enough in the USHL this season. He's capable of putting up far better production than the 6 goals, 11 assists he's had in 43 games this season. So that is disappointing. What is encouraging is he was already a good defensive player, but it's gotten even better. So if he can work on doing what makes him successful offensively more consistently, then he's got a shot.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to just continue to see what his progression looks like. I you know me, I'm not trying to get too overworked by where they are now. We just got to see the next step on the rung, the next rung on the ladder, if you will. So
yeah, let's get to Providence. Lots of Providence highlights to Philip Svedback. We forgot him.
Yeah, we just got to touch on him real quick. I know we don't have any highlights of him, but
yeah, 6-3 win on Friday against BU, and then lost 3-0 on Saturday to BU. Svedback played in both games. Stopped 30 shots on Friday. I believe it was 20 of 23 on Saturday. This is what I don't like about Svedback. He's great when he's not counted to play back-to-back games. And for some reason, he started back-to-back games.
Yeah, the usage does make me question some things when it comes to the coaching decisions. But, I mean, he's going out and he's doing what he can. The coaching decisions aren't on him. So, we'll just have to continue to see where, if he can improve upon the back-to-backs.
Yeah. So now we'll move on to Providence because lots of highlights to get through, and we got like 20 minutes.
Real quick, though, the last question I have on Svedback, he's got one more year left at Providence, right?
Yes.
All right. I fully expect him to take advantage of it.
So Providence defeats Utica 5-1 on Friday. That was DiPietro's game, 26 saves. Well, Georgi Merkulov gets the first goal. Let's play it because the goal isn't impressive to me.
It is or it is not?
It is not.
Okay.
If I'm remembering the goal.
So he's at the top here.
Yeah, it's the pass that is impressive to me. So let her play. Do it at half speed, Chris.
Sure, I can set that up. I will let people know, yes, they are in green jerseys. They were doing a promotional
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So, but he comes down from the blue line here, gets open. How no one sees him. 24 right there completely blew the assignment, by the way.
Hey, but that's not the play, Chris. Forget that. Back it up.
I'm just pointing it out because it doesn't help.
What Merkulov did, I could score.
That pass between the legs, though, was filthy.
It's the pass from John Farinacci in front. It was like Crosby to McKinnon on that power play goal.
Ooh, if not as beautiful, more so. Because this one was between his legs.
My grandson, who is 6 years old, could score that goal. Georgi Merkulov had nothing to do. That was all John Farinacci.
It's an empty calorie goal for Merkulov. Good for him for getting it, but this is why you can't just look at the statistics.
Right. So Utica ties it up, and then Mason Millman. I really like this kid. He makes it 2-1.
You've got him circled right here, starting in the middle of his own zone. Carrying the puck up, dishes it off, gets it back, and just rips it.
He's got a very good shot. And I would say right now, it's a toss-up between he and Ian Mitchell as to who Providence's best defenseman is. And he's not even on an NHL contract.
I think he might be playing himself into one.
I would hope so.
So the roster decisions at the lower level going into next season are going to be very interesting.
Yep. So Riley Duran makes it 3-1. He also scored an empty netter. No, that was on. When did he score the empty netter? I didn't get a highlight of it, but he had a 2-goal weekend.
I was just say I got the one that made it 3-1 on Friday.
Yeah.
Here. So I was gonna pull that one up. You've got him pointed at. He's off screen here.
Yeah, that's where he's.
Nice little rip. And sticks with it.
Yeah, that found its way through. It took a while, but he was eventually given credit for it.
So, again, good things happen when you're playing the game the right way.
Yep. And then finally, Tyler Pitlick makes it 4-1 on Friday. Here's another guy on an AHL contract who's having a very good year.
Underrated signing.
Yep.
For the team this year. High veteran AHL presence for him. I think he's really helped some of the other young defensemen come along. a guy with NHL experience on an AHL contract, and he's settling in nicely for this team. So you got to have a few of those. So that was the Friday game.
Yeah. So Saturday, they won again. It was Brandon Bussey's turn. 27 shots, 27 saves, 4th shutout of the season. Bussey's coming alive. They're going to need him. We do have a Matthew Poitras goal, but we'll go to Mason Millman first, who scores for the second time on the weekend to make it 1-0.
Yep, we got him highlighted again, coming in on the right side of the screen. Let me see if I can move us and shift us around. There we go. Because he comes in from the right-hand side here. That is a wind-up.
Yes.
They do still happen.
But he does have a shot. Whether it's a wrister. There's Matty Poitras there in the picture.
Yeah, that's a nice little rip right there.
With no hesitation. He had a lot of open ice in front of him that he could have taken.
Just hammered it.
He just hammered it. Then we have Matty Poitras' goal on to make it 2-0.
Yeah, and he's coming in from roughly the same spot here.
Yeah.
Let's get this one going here. Nice little wrister from the top of the circles.
Yeah. High blocker.
Thoughts on that one against an NHL caliber goaltender?
Matty has a good shot. He's always had a good shot. And I think he needs to at times be a little more selfish because he has a pass first mentality. He's always played with shooters, at least at the junior level. So his best option was always to pass off because those guys knew where to shoot from and would get there. So Matty looked for them. But I think he has an excellent shot. I wouldn't say it's elite, far from elite, but an excellent shot that sometimes he should call out his own number and take the shot.
Yeah, I think he's might be a little hesitant to do that at the NHL level a little bit. But that confidence will also come with time. Yep. I mean, when you think about who he's been paired with, who he's playing with, yeah, I'd probably be open to deferring first as well. That's the skill that got you there, and that's the one that you got to rely on a little bit. So,
yeah. So Fabian Lysell, who's sat out Friday, Saturday scores to make it 3-0.
Yes, and we have that one right here again, coming in on the left side this time with a nice, lovely arrow. Same spot, right in the slot. Dishes. That's a heck of a pass, too.
Yep.
The pass is right on the tape.
How nobody was picking him up is beyond me, though.
Yeah. Who made that pass?
I believe it was Pitlick.
Was it? It was. Is he 26?
No,
Farinacci.
Farinacci, yes.
Another
had an excellent weekend.
I was going to say another excellent pass from Farinacci. He's someone that I would love to see after the All-Star, or after the trade deadline, get a call up.
You know what? I've been saying it for 6 weeks.
I know you have. I agree with you.
And now everybody and their brother's saying it.
I've been agreeing with you all 6 weeks.
No, I'm not talking about you.
I know.
Go check Twitter.
I trust me, I've seen it. I know.
Everybody's on it as of yesterday and today. Nobody was talking about it 6 weeks ago.
We were. You were.
I was.
You were here with me. So, hey, like you said, it's the place to be.
Yeah.
So, up next, I have the Tufty goal from Saturday.
Yeah, that one made it 4-0.
Yes, right. There we go. My screen share went a little whack on me here, but again, he's coming in from off screen. And a nice little 2-on-1 with a dish and another assist for Farinacci.
Yeah, and Tufty's really having a good season. I know everybody hates the signing, but you know what? You have to ice an AHL team too. He's up to 15 goals, 13 assists in 40 games. 15 goals is tops in Providence right now.
I don't understand why people would hate that signing. Like if you were signing him for your NHL roster, then yes, I can understand why you would hate the signing. But he was signed as someone who could have potentially made your fourth line, but was available to be sent down to Providence.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got to ice a roster in Providence as well. So
correct. So finally Sunday, they lost. Mikey DP was in net. 4-2 to Bridgeport. They fell behind 1-0. Who other than the guy we're just talking about, John Farinacci, scores to even things up at 1-1.
I've got the VL goal at make it 2-1. I don't have the Farinacci one.
You should.
For some reason, I don't have that highlight.
Okay, well, too bad. We missed it then.
Probably just didn't download right into my folder.
Well, you should have known you were missing one. I numbered them for you.
I know, and I just noticed that the number skipped from 26 to 28.
Oh,
So,
you ding dong.
I know. Bloopers.
Okay,
right?
then Bayel makes it 2-1. He had a good fight on, I believe it was Saturday. Big fight. He's
Yes,
actually
I
had a
think it was
couple of
Saturday.
big fights in the last week.
Nice little scissoring through the defense there too. How he goes that untouched, I don't get it. I mean, he just works his way through, and
Because everybody's afraid of him.
fair enough. So
Okay, we have one more highlight because I know everybody wants to go watch Sweden and USA. And this is Fabian Lysell.
what's the best way?
How
to put
shall
it?
we say, doing what he shouldn't be doing?
Yeah,
He's
people
not-
want to
Can
know
you
why
point
he's.
him out, Chris?
Yeah, people want to know why he's not getting the call up to the Boston Bruins. And these are the kinds of decisions and the plays that he's making that he's doing it too consistently down there. He's going to be down right along the boards right here at the top of the circle, and right there. He crosses the blue line, he's carrying the puck, and then he makes a decision to cut to the middle of the ice while he's got guys streaking towards the O-zone. And instead of dumping it in, he holds it and he causes the offsides. I mean, he decides to dump it in too late. It's a decision-making ability that they're still questioning. So if you look at it from a little bit slower, he's the one right here at the dot in the defensive end. Once he gets the puck here, he cuts to the middle, which is fine. That's not the worst part of it. It's right there, though, where he should be making the dump in because he's got three guys conversing onto him.
Really,
Instead,
four.
Really, four. Yeah, good point. But instead, he tries to walk the blue line, and he causes an offsides, completely kills the play and all of the momentum that Providence had growing off of that play. And he does this probably in an obvious manner like this 3-4 times a game, maybe
2 or 3, and that's the whole argument where they talk about you can't take on players 1-on-4. You need to utilize your teammates, and his only option on that play was to dump it. Now he should have gone to the left corner on the side where his teammates were at, where they could get to the puck. But instead, he tried to skate through four guys.
Yeah, it's not always straight through four guys right to the net. It's it forms in other ways as well. And so when they talk about his questions, when they talk about outscoring the mistakes, to say this was a mistake, yes, it was, because it kills the momentum, but it's not. It doesn't directly result in a goal in the back of the net going the other way. So like it's about the overall decisions, right?
I wouldn't exactly say it's a mistake. I would say it's a lack of a decision. Or making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the play he should have made. Now, that said, I still want to give Fabian Lysell an opportunity at the NHL level. I've said it 100 times. The opportunity to watch David Pastrnak and how he handles things, I think, would be quite beneficial for Fabian Lysell. I really do.
I was going to say, my next question for you is, on a play like that, right? Do you think he's hesitating on a decision because of who's coming up the ice? If he's got guys like a Brad Marchand or Pavel Zacha, Charlie Coyle, if an NHL caliber player is streaking up like that, do you think he's so hesitant to dump the puck in? Or is it because he knows the players that are coming up behind him? They're the Patrick Browns of the world. They're other AHL guys where he's just not sure that maybe it's a lack of trust that they're going to do the right thing.
No, I don't think so. Hockey is a game of mistakes, and the team that makes the fewest mistakes wins the hockey game. There's only one play for him there, and that's to dump it in. Doesn't matter who's on the ice. You put it into a spot, and like I said, the left corner here in that particular play, his teammate has at least a chance to get to the puck.
Mm-hmm.
If he dumped it into the right corner, he's the closest player, and he ain't going in to win you a puck battle.
Right.
And elite players or the best hockey players figure that out in a split second.
So do you think it's a skill factor for him? Is it decision-making skill, or is it just learning the game, knowledge of the game skill? Or is it stubbornness to just not make the right play?
It's not a question of skill, because the kid has all the skill in the world, all the talent in the world. It's decision-making. It's as simple as that. It's just plain decision-making.
Well, that people want to know why he's not getting the call up. I agree with you. I want to see him at the NHL level, but this is what the team is seeing as to why he's not getting it. So
obviously the video work isn't working, because trust me, he was probably shown video of that play and told, not just that play, 100 other times this season that he's done the exact same thing and said, look, your play at this point is to do this. And he's just not doing it. It's not working for him. To go and spend some time in the NHL and see guys like Brad Marchand or David Pastrnak do it, I think would be very beneficial for Fabian Lysell.
I do think it would help him, absolutely. So it certainly won't hurt. And if they can get him up and, get him some action at the NHL level this season after the trade deadline, I'm all for it. But
Doesn't even have to be after the trade deadline. They could do it next week.
They could, but with only 8 games or whatever it is, 6 games, I see them trying to sort other things out with their NHL guys first. But anyway, we've got puck drop coming up, and well, it's a primetime game, so probably about 20 minutes or so. But we are approaching 8 o'clock. So, Dom, another great week of Prospects Talk in the books, brought to you by our friends over at Ice Shaker. Checking them out at iceshaker.com. Get your own Bruins one. We kind of put off giving one away. Again, I don't know why. We got to get on that. But we do have one to give away. So if you got any ideas on how we should do it, we're open to them as well. But Dom, anything else?
Yeah, the chat's been pretty quiet tonight.
Yeah.
Is it not working?
No, we've got a few. Stefan popped in with his question. Kevin jumped in earlier. I know Kevin does a lot of listening when it comes to the prospects. I think a lot of people just aren't quite sure what to think of some of the guys. So they're just more apt to listen to what we have to say about them. So, but
fair enough.
I know you mentioned that you're working on some player profiles. I've got a few that I'm working on myself.
Anybody who's interested on players in Providence, I'm pumping them out one at a time. Just go to Dom.Hockey and you can find them there. Honest take, and very serious about it. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is some pretty bad criticism. Very good word. There's some very loud criticism on some of the players. Chris has read them, so take his word for it.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is you're not saying anything that the players aren't aware of.
At least they should be aware of it.
Yeah, fair enough. If they're finding out from you that they're not playing up to the level of their game, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're hoping to get some guests on during the summer, especially now that some of the seasons are starting to wind down. NCAA season's got 2 weeks left, roughly.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some guests on and whatnot. We kind of don't know the guys as well as you guys. So, well, that's why we want your questions. We want to know what about them you want to know. Again, it's not just about the stats. So certain things, we've gotten some great questions, and Stefan asked a great one earlier. So if there's anything that we can do to help facilitate more questions, let us know as well. We're both, I got to get more active on HF boards, but we are both active on there and on Twitter. So,
I just want to say it's not always sunshine and rainbows. Like, I know I've been very critical of Casper Nason over time. I've been critical of, very critical of Jake Schmaltz. I've been critical of Jonathan Morello. I've been critical of Christian Kostadinsky.
Hell, we were criticizing Mason Langenbrunner just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, very seriously. And then, I ate my words. I'll admit when I'm wrong. But as you said last week, we weren't really wrong. That's what he was doing at that time, or what was happening at that time. And now that he's given an opportunity, he's showing through.
Yeah, I mean, we were questioning the nepotism of his role on the team. We were having that conversation, but now that he's getting more minutes, he's proving that his talent level is still there, and it's not that. So, as you pulled up, Bruins Mate saying was hopeful Farinacci was going to be more impactful.
Farinacci is doing exactly what he should be doing. He's actually playing at a level higher than what was probably expected of him right now. Last year, he started off great and slowed down the second half. He hit the rookie wall. But this was a guy who had never played more than 32 games in a season in his career, and all of a sudden is playing a 72-game season with Providence. Yeah, he's going to hit a wall at some point. But he's been on fire lately for Providence. He's been playing at a point per game for, I don't know, last 20, 22, 23 games.
Something like that, yeah. And he follows up with any chance that we see him in a Bruins uniform in a year or two.
I think you see him this year. I think he'll get. He's one of three guys that I've repeatedly said would like to see get a call up at this season, and that's Merkulov, Lysell, and Farinacci.
Yeah. One player who played his name off of that list has been Trevor Kuntar, but we'll see where that goes. You're entitled to have a down year. Everybody's entitled to it. So it's how does he bounce back from it? As far as Farinacci, I mean, how would you feel? I mean, if you call him up and he can kind of keep the same good habits and what he's doing, how would you feel about him being a third line center for you at the NHL level at some point?
Sure. Yeah, let's not forget Farinacci, I believe, was a top 70 pick by the Coyotes. In that area, 70, 72, something in there. And didn't sign. Bruins convinced him to sign with them. So it's not like he's talentless.
76 overall in 2019.
76. Okay, I was close.
Hey, off the top of your head, I'll give you all the credit in the world for that one. And for those who don't know, he is cousins with Ryan Donato and his uncle is Ted Donato.
Yep.
So there's hockey talent in him.
Bloodlines.
In the bloodline. So, we'll just have to keep an eye on where he keeps going with it. But I definitely think you could see him get a game or two before the season is over. So I know I'm crossing my fingers for it, hoping for it, and I know you are too. Let's see. I was not sure if we would see Farinacci with Poitras back up at 3C. I think some of what we're going to see in the back end of the year is going to be based on how they come out of the break, how they're fighting for a playoff spot, and what moves they make at the deadline. Those three things are going to decide what you see going down the pike. Because as long as they're competing for a playoff spot, that has shown time and time again to be this team's number one priority.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, it's almost time for puck drop.
Any final thoughts from you, Dom?
No, we'll be back next week. We'll have the Bruins will be back in action. We'll be winding down the NCAA season. We'll have two shows again. Sunday, all Bruins, and Monday, all prospects. We'll coming up probably in the next month, we'll do a show on college free agents that the Bruins may be interested in or who's available. We'll do it on one of the prospect shows when there isn't a whole lot to talk about. In a couple of months, we'll do our rankings. There's lots of content coming out. So if you guys like the show, give us a like. Or subscribe, either one helps drive fans over to us and just makes for better content.
Share the links. We appreciate that. Get more people in. The more comments we get, the more questions, the less we have to prepare because we'd rather just answer all your questions. That makes our lives easier. But we'll present the information as we have, and we can send out an email for folks to email questions in. Like I said, we're both active on HF boards. We're both active on Twitter's, Blue Sky, a few other socials as well. So feel free to reach out. Any questions, we can answer them right here on the pod and go over them. And, we like to see everybody every week. So with that, the last thing I got is Go Bruins prospects.